Before we get into it, I want to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which I'm recording today, the Whadjuk Noongar people. I pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging, because it always was and always will be Aboriginal land. Hey, this is Zero Filter, and chances are you like your conversations messy and unfiltered. I'm Faye, and every week I'll be tackling everything from relationships and politics to sex work and personal growth. This is where the messy, uncomfortable, and hilarious collide. So let's buckle up because it's going to get real. Hello, how are you today? Welcome to Zero Filter. My name is Faye, and I like to talk about shit. And yeah, I have just figured out that I've been recording my camera in opposite, and I've always been like, damn, I guess that's it. Too bad, so sad, really. But then I just saw this little button on my screen of my computer that is like a little arrow, and I switched it back. And now you can actually see. Oh, wait. See, I'm so used to the opposite. My beautiful painting / disco thing that I made that says shit. And now it doesn't say. I can't say whatever it said. Today, I am going to be talking about my autism and ADHD diagnosis, how bad it is in Australia, especially WA, to get diagnosed, the family kind of repercussions and light bulb moments that kind of happen once you have been diagnosed, and that ripple effect throughout your family, and just the kind of ins and outs of what I experienced, my personal experiences and feelings and everything that I kind of went through, and hope that it kind of sheds light on the system, what we hope to change, and maybe something that you feel needs to be looked at. So I'm just going to go into like a little bit of a background story of my childhood and how I felt growing up and how I felt as a young adult and into adulthood as well. I always felt like I would literally introduce myself like I'm an alien. I am the friend that gets people to warn their friends that I'm going to be introduced to because I'm a little bit weird. I don't have a filter. I don't like eye contact. I play with my hands a lot. Like, as soon as I met someone, I'd be like, I'm really sorry, I play with my nails a lot. It's not that I'm nervous. It's just something that I do. And I could never really understand it. And then in childhood, it was quite the same. Like, people be like, oh, you're copying me. Why do you walk with your hands like this? Are you a dinosaur? Why do you play with your hair so much? Like, you have this thing where you always play with your hair. Just so many things that people would pick apart about me that I was like, okay, well, I'm just not like everyone else. And it really, as a child, to be told that you're not like everyone else, or, picked apart for things that you do that other kids don't do, it does give you quite a complex, but not in an arrogant way, more so like in a, I'm different, I'm an alien. Like, and I guess that's why I liked the name Faye. And I guess that's why these chats that I seem to have on my podcast and with other people go on many different tangents. So, yes, childhood was rough. I would spend a lot of time with older people. I would spend my lunches and recess in primary school with my librarian, a lot of time in the front office, just really wanting to, I don't know, I would have more conversations with older people that were easier for me to have than having it with a fellow child. So going into teenagehood, then a lot of bullying started happening because, I was being told that I was copying people, and for me, I was just trying to fit in. I had moved from Darwin to Perth to go to high school and didn't know anybody. And so I was really kind of put into this place where the culture is so different. Like, I've gone from being a complete tomboy that would hang out with boys and go like bike riding, which were my brothers most of the time, to moving to Perth where all the girls had short skirts, wore like knee-length socks, like etnies. This is the early 2000s that I started high school, 2004 to be exact. And yeah, because I was so used to hanging out with boys, I got a lot of boy attention. So I was just like, oh, hang out with the dudes, like, So then that became a problem and I didn't understand it. And then, yeah, it kind of eventuated into young adulthood as well, like hanging out with the boys. And I just kind of kept doing that. And that's where I felt comfortable. And I guess around maybe like 27, so like 28, 29, 30, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, so 7 years ago. Far out, I'm a little bit silly sometimes, don't judge me. I guess like the ADHD boom started to happen, and it was like everyone was talking about it. It was all over Instagram. All of these things were starting to come out and be talked about, and I was a part of this kind of like, let's talk about shit that needs to be talked about, and here I am today starting a podcast on it. And I started reading into it and I was like, holy shit balls, there's other people like me out there that are forgetting dates all the time, like just completely forgetting things that they had just done, walking into rooms, like sensitivity to lights and to sounds and to like people, or like the electricity sounds that no one else can hear, but it's like nails down a chalkboard to me. The couches that are too scratchy, the bed sheets that are too scratchy, the bed sheets that are too itchy. Like, I didn't realize to the extent that not everyone was going through what I was going through, like the need to feel like I fit in, but not actually wanting to fit in and be myself. Like, I could go on with a list of things, and I will probably read you some of them later. But anyway, I started to realize that it wasn't just me. And so I looked into getting a diagnosis, and I'd been in and out of psychs for a while from a lot of childhood trauma. And so I'd been on medication since I was 14, and I was like, you know what? It's probably about time that I find a psychiatrist and I go back and just go, hey, I need a full check. Just rack my brain and see what diagnoses I need, because, maybe I don't have anxiety, depression, eating disorder, all of these things that I had under my name. Maybe I should get reevaluated. So I wanted to go in and get a full check, because I've been an outpatient at Perth Clinic. For those of you that don't know what that is, it's a mental hospital. But as I said, I did go through a lot of childhood trauma when I was younger. So I've done a lot of work on myself to get where I am to today. And yeah, so I was like, all right. And I don't know, I know there's a lot of ADHD people out there, but when someone asks you something, do you freeze? Because I do. Someone goes, hey, what's your favorite song? I'm like, what genre? Like, at what time of day? Like, where am I going? Like, there's like different songs for different times of the day. There's that's just too much. So when I thought about, okay, what's the doctor going to ask me? How's the conversation going to go? And he's going to, or he or she, or they or them, are going to ask, what are you struggling with? And I'd be like, fuck. What do I struggle with? Like, at what time of day? Where am I going? So I started to write down a list of what I was struggling with. Let me see if I can find it. I can read you some of the things, because again, I can't fucking remember. Okay, when was this written? 2022. I might have edited it. or whatever, like accidentally pressed it. But it was definitely before that because I got diagnosed 4 years ago. Anyway, okay, when I hear a noise, I recognize like a song or a voice. Oh, okay. So say I'm in the shop and my mum is like 2 meters away talking to someone else, and then the person at the counter is trying to ask me a question. My ears will hear my mum because it recognizes her voice, and I won't be able to hear the person that's talking to me. Like, it's so annoying. Like, I have to like close my ears and focus, like really focus on the person that's talking. Anyway, these are just going to be some strange things that maybe you'll be like, fuck, I'm not the only person, And I love that shit. Interrupt and overshare without acknowledging I do so. I am so happy that I've started to acknowledge these things. I can't call people unless I love you and like I do it on a regular occasion. Like, I can call my mum, I can call my brothers 100%. I can call my best friend, but even sometimes I'm like, But my mum and my brothers I can call whenever, but still sometimes I don't want to talk to them if they're calling me. But that's not because I don't love them. It's just because I'm like, I'm too overwhelmed right now and my brain is just like, no, and I can't do the talking thing. I need to wee, but I'm like stuck. Like, sometimes I used to be so stuck on the couch or in my bed in paralysis that like I could be busting to go for a wee, but physically I could not move my body. I cannot, like, I'll be like screaming at myself in my head, like, fucking get up, you piece of shit, like, go to the toilet, you're gonna give yourself a UTI. And I will literally sit there for like 5 hours until I nearly piss myself. Like, it's happened so many times. I play with my teeth obsessively until like I'm bleeding. I play with my thumbs. I have a stutter sometimes. Anyway, that's enough of that. Regardless, I went into the doctor and I said, "Here, sir, please tell me what is wrong." And fair enough, he was like, ADHD, straight away. And so then I went through to a psychologist that did the testing, and she did the ADHD testing, and she was like, "You know what, Faye? You have autism." She was like, "I'm going to have to do the test just by law, but I think you have more autistic behaviors than you do ADHD." And yeah, it sounds very easy when I put it that way, but it definitely wasn't. Like, one of the reasons I started stripping, shock horror if you don't know that already, I am a stripper, was to save up enough money to get my diagnosis, because it cost me $3,500. You heard that correctly. And that's in Australian, folks. I don't know the conversion to other things, but let's just say if you're American listening, it's probably like 2,000 US or 2,500 US. And that's not the only hard thing. It took me, I think, because I hate making phone calls, especially to the doctor or the dentist or anything like that. Like, the fact I had to go to a GP, get a referral to a psychiatrist, then call the psychiatrist, make an appointment with them, then after that, make an appointment with a psychologist to do the testing. Like, girl. It took me a while. I think it took me a few years. Like, it got to the point where my GP referral had been nearly a year. Like, it was like 11 months, and I was like, shit, all right. And so I had to like take a photo and email them to ask for a replacement because I just physically could not make the phone call. And then, yeah, like, it just got pushed out as well with money, like having to find those funds. And it was a mission. And also, WA is the highest per capita amount of people taking like medicine for ADHD. Like, Vyvanse, dexamphetamines, Ritalin. It's the most amount of people in the world per capita that are taking them. So the amount of people that are getting diagnosed is like super hard. I can't even think of the words how to say this. It's like the more I talk about ADHD and autism, the more ADHD and autistic I get. I guess because it's like something I'm so passionate about and something I have so much like I have hyper fixated on this stuff that I then become, my masks come off because I'm able to be myself. But yeah, there's a lot of people that are getting diagnosed, and there's a lot of people that have been diagnosed. So then it's harder to get to see your psychiatrist at some points because there's so many of us. And there's also a lot of people that are taking it illegally. So yeah, it's an issue. Anyway, I'm going to go on to the next bit and stop rambling about that bit. Okay. So after I was diagnosed, this whole other, you kind of are like, yep, you're on this track, and you're like, okay, cool, like I'm getting diagnosed, fuck yeah, like I'm finally gonna get like some light bulb realizations, like I'm not broken, like I'm just undiagnosed, blah, 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 revelation. But really, the one thing that you never expect is a double-edged sword of like, holy shit. It was right there for 30 years and no one realized. Like the fact that no one picked up on it at all. Like they went through my like school reports, my primary school reports, all of these things. They spoke to my mum and it was all there. It was like poor regulation, gets bullied by the kids a lot, spends a lot of time with adults, doesn't deal well with peer reflection or something like that, struggles to like figure out the work. Like all of these things were just like right there. And then for it to go like unnoticed for 30 years and me to have to like struggle with life, like struggle, like literally be paralyzed for some of my child's life on the couch because I physically am so burnt out that I cannot move, and like being sick week after week after week, and just no one noticed and no one could help me, and I didn't know what was wrong with myself. It's just like it was such a hard thing to come to deal with, and then to then be like, where am I masking in my life? What have I been doing for all these years that isn't actually me? And so the last 4 years have been a fucking journey. Like, I am so fucking proud of who I am right now. Like, I could never imagine that I'm going to Pilates 4 to 5 times a week, dancing, like doing a podcast every single week and getting it freaking done, keeping my house clean, getting my kid like fed, cooking myself dinner. Like all of these things were unimaginable. Like when I tell you, like I was like, nah, cannot. Like I was so mentally disabled at some point, that because I didn't have the correct tools, I didn't have the correct medicine, I didn't have the like right things to lead me. And I can thank a lot to social media, honestly. The amount of autistic people and autistic help pages that I follow, and I'll definitely link some in the description below, that have just given me tips and tricks on how to be a better autistic ADHD person and not beat myself up as much as well. And just feeling connected to other people is really such a beautiful thing. And yeah, I I'm really proud. So, and if you're the same as me, or if you're just at the beginning of being diagnosed, like, give yourself a few years. Like, it gets better. Like, learning to unmask and setting boundaries and coming back to who you are and finding out who you are is such a beautiful thing. And just doing shit for yourself and finding where and when or what takes your energy and how to replenish that in ways that are perfectly fit for you is stunning. Oh my God, look at my hand. Just been like clenching my fingers into my hand. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what ADHD is and what autism is, because obviously I get told a lot, oh, you don't look autistic, you don't, like, you're very ADHD, or, sometimes I'll be in my most autism state, which a lot of my close friends will see is when I go nonverbal and I break down or I have like a meltdown, which is very rare for other people to see it. It usually just happens in private, but I wanted to kind of just break down what ADHD is versus autism versus AuDHD. Okay, ADHD means, I can't believe my brain literally, I was trying to say it backwards, but attention deficit hyperactive disorder. Now, a lot of people think that means that we are always hyperactive, but let me tell you, in women, the hyperactive is up here. In men, you see a lot of men get diagnosed with ADHD and autism from a very young age, and most women will not get diagnosed until they're over 30. And this is because we as women and femmes, AFAB, female at birth, our brains are very much wired different, and if we spend a lot of our childhood being in that femme role, societal norms have kind of encouraged us to mask a lot, and so we don't get picked up as often as boys. And it's like, if you imagine you see an ADHD boy, right, and he's running around, he's being hyperactive, he can't sit still, he's throwing things in the classroom, picking up chairs, getting really angry, letting stuff out. They're like, oh, ADHD. Or they're like, he is nonverbal, wants to play with trains, wants to talk about trains, this is being very, very, what's the word? I'm not trying to stigmatize, but I'm just stigmatizing for a second, just for other people to understand. So if you are autistic and ADHD, I know this would be like, what the fuck? That's not all of us. I know. That's my point. Is that those are the people that get picked up because of the way that the medical system views us, as in one little tiny box. Like, for example, I got my diagnosis off a sheet that is only meant for little boys. And most girls will not get the diagnosis because they're not a small mask. I'm trying to use the right words. But yeah, so ADHD and autism do not get picked up in women as often as men. And yet there is a actual statistic saying that women won't get picked up until they're around their 30s, which is super, super sad. But yes, ADHD is hyperactivity disorder, but it can also, yes, females won't have the hyperactivity in their bodies. It'll be in their minds, which then causes them to have extreme fatigue because they burn out. And then autism is actually a neurological brain disorder that your brain is literally wired different. And same with ADHD, is the frontal lobe that is not the same as a neurotypical person. So then when you have both of them mixed together, it's kind of like, I explain it like two people butting heads. Like, it's just like constantly I'm either wanting no routine or I hate routine, or I'm like, I need routine. And then both of them just being like, blah, 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 So I never know. Like, I'm like, I am stuck in this fucking complex. I'm like between two walls, like shit. And then I like get to the end and then I'm like, I needed to do something and I forgot it back there through the walls. So yeah, it's hard, but I also quickly wanted to say I read this beautiful analogy the other day regarding when people go, oh, everyone's a little bit autistic. Everyone's got a little bit of ADHD. Like, everyone's got a little bit of autism. Can you be a little bit pregnant? Like, you can have bloating. You can have nausea in the morning. You could be vomiting in the morning. Your boobs could be getting really sore and big. But does that mean that you're pregnant? You're showing all the same symptoms that a pregnant person would have. No. You can't be a little bit pregnant unless you're pregnant. You can have the same symptoms as an ADHD or an autistic person, but you can't be that. Like, if you see the spectrum as like this little end of my microphone, if you can't see it, imagine a circle like a bottle cap. Within that circle is neurotypical. And you've got all the little pie charts. So you can have the little symptoms that an ADHD person and an autistic person can. But the spectrum goes above that milk circle up very, very high. And what we're feeling in our body is 20 million times more extreme than you are. Like if you imagine a tree branch, and I'll send the links and photos down below. But if you imagine a tree branch and imagine all of the branches without leaves, it's just like a twig with lots of twigs coming off. And your thought has to get from the bottom of that twig to the top of the twig. And it has to go through all the little bits that are broken off. A neurotypical person will not have as many twigs, so it doesn't need to go through as many things to get to the top. A neurodivergent person will have all of the twigs. It has to go through each and every little bit, every twig up, go back, until it finds its way to the top. So our processing time is so much longer than a neurotypical person. So that's why we struggle. It's not always on the outside. It's like having a broken arm, like, not really, but still, you can't see that broken bone. You don't know how much it's hurting inside me. Or like if you have endo. Oh, I get cramps sometimes. Maybe I have endo. No, I don't. Like, you're picking up what I'm putting down. I think you are. Okie dokie. One thing that became very evident in my diagnosis is my mum realized at 60 years old that she was autistic and ADHD, and she hasn't gone and got a diagnosis because maybe she should, but filling out the form for me was kind of like, yep. She said out of like 100 questions that they asked her, 99 she answered yes to. And so one thing that's been really interesting is kind of like through my journey, she's been learning so much about herself as well. And in turn, my youngest brother, Blake, has recently gone and tried to going for his diagnosis. He's like halfway through. And the funny thing is like when we were kids, I would always feel like, I think you're autistic. I think you have ADHD. And I've always said that. And it's funny because I was just projecting things that I felt about myself onto him, and would always kind of like be like, oh, that's because you're ADHD. But not realizing it in myself. Like if you've met my youngest brother, Blake, you will understand. Like, I also saw this thing on Instagram the other day, and it was like people will be really, really annoying when they have ADHD because it gives them a dopamine kick when you have a response. And I was like, oh, damn. That makes so much sense about Blake. Like, he is the most annoying person. He also said that I have to give him $50 every time I say his name, and I'm not going to do that. But yeah, so he's going through this journey, and, you know, he's got these 2 young kids, and I feel like that was such a big thing for me as well. Sorry, I feel like I have a hair on my face, and it's freaking me out. Sensory overload. I think I can see it. Something that has come up so much for me is, you know, having a daughter that could be autistic or have ADHD, and you don't want to push these things onto your child because you want them to live a life authentically and as wonderful and perfect as you can possibly make it for them, right? But at the same time, I think about the struggles that I went through with learning and with acceptance of other children and trying to make friends. And she doesn't struggle with friendships and all of that kind of stuff. But again, I'm the only one and my mum that see her have these like brutal, horrible meltdowns. And she's had them from since day one. How can I explain that to a doctor when she masks so well in front of those doctors that she is sociable and can make eye contact and can do all these things when she sees her autistic ADHD mother do the same thing? And so it's so interesting, and not obviously, I need to stop saying that. I realize in myself all of these reflections, and then I see myself in her as a child. And so I'm going through this process, which has taken nearly 4 years through the public sector, because I was like, you know what, maybe I'll go through the public sector just to kind of, and then every time I'm like, no, I'm going to go private, they'll kind of be like, hey, we've got a thing for you coming up in like a few weeks, and then, you know, then it'll be another 6 months. So it's kind of just like, oh, okay, hanging on. So I have recently gone and met with a social worker, a occupational therapist, and a psychologist through the public health sector for children. So it is getting moving, but it has taken 4 years, which is super hard. But honestly, as I said, like, social media has been really, really great. I've been able to find out a lot of information on things to help with her, with like, and speaking to her teachers in class. We moved her to a different school, like, which is Steiner based, which is a lot more holistic and slower paced learning and very hands on, which has just worked wonders for her and her mental health. So although if you have the money to privately get your child diagnosed, I say go for it. Don't even bother with the public health sector. Like, I know of some parents that are flying over east or up north to go and see psychiatrists for their children because of the wait is so long. So even if you are going privately, I know that it's super duper hard. But yeah, as someone that has gone through the public health sector, and I'm still not at the end just yet, I think I might even be going to have to go to the private sector, just because to get a girl properly diagnosed at her age and how well I know my child, I'm not trying to put a label on her at all, but I want her to get properly diagnosed, or even just get the diagnosis, even if it comes back no. Whatever it comes back as, I just want it to happen, because, you know, I'm going through all these different routes and they're being like, talk to this person, talk to that person, talk to this person. And so I would rather have a psychiatrist, psychologist sit down with her and properly do the assessment, rather than being bounced around like a ping pong ball for social work and like all of these things that aren't actually the people that are supposed to do the diagnoses. Circling back, the reason why I want this for Loan is not for a label. It's not for medication. It is not for that. When I see my child having these emotional meltdowns and then at the end being like, I don't know why I was like that. I don't understand my brain. Why am I like this? As a parent, I will go to the ends of the earth to help my child and get her the help that she needs, because I can see that she needs something. And her going into high school in 2 years, I want her to have the most support going into that she can possibly have. And if she has ADHD or autism or any other type of something that is going to not be the, like, our schooling system is so flawed. Like, whole nother subject. I want her to have the most support surrounding her. And if that means like getting her to, like, whatever, you understand where I'm coming from. I don't need to tell you, I don't need to justify to you. I'm her parent and I know what's best for her. But if you're going through the same thing and you're being told by outside voices, like, why you want to label them, label blah, 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 blah. ADHD and autism is a genetic thing. They are more likely to have it if you have it, especially women, AFAB, from their mothers. Do what you feel is right. So I'm going to wrap that up. If there is anyone out there that I can possibly help direct, I will say that unfortunately Australia has a national shortage of psychiatrists. So I know that I have received a few DMs on my Instagram regarding help finding psychiatrists. I know that if you call Perth Clinic, they have 40 on like call there at the moment. Also, if you need to get a psychiatrist referral, there is an online thing that you can go. If you find a psychiatrist that you've heard of, then you can go online. I rocked up to my psychiatrist, forgot that I needed to get another referral. I rocked up and they were like, you need a new referral because you need to get one every single year. Now, if you asked your GP or your online GP for the referral, say, can I have an indefinite referral? Because that means you'll never have to get one again. Otherwise, every single year, without fail, you will be having to get that. When you do get your ADHD diagnosis and you're talking to your psychiatrist, ask them to get your GP who referred you, if you did go to an in-person one, not online, so that they can give you your meds. Otherwise, you'll have to go back to your psychiatrist, which is costly, every single 6 months. And that's why it'll become a problem. So I'm just helping out your brain, my spicy brain, helping your spicy brain, because I keep forgetting. And yeah, I rocked up to my psych and was like, I don't have my referral. So I quickly went online. I think it was Ola.com, and just literally while I was waiting to see my psych, called up this doctor, got a referral to my psych and emailed it to them on the spot. It took me like 20 minutes. So fun facts. Yeah. If you've got any questions, anything at all, please send me a DM on Faye Luna Faye or onto my zerofilter.podcast, which is my Instagram. Feel free to leave a comment. I read all of my comments. I read all of my DMs. I would love to have a chat regarding this. I obviously am really respecting my boundaries and protecting them. So if I don't reply straight away, know that I will get through to it. But if you have any questions, please, please, please hit me up. I can't believe how well I'm doing and how many of you continue to listen, and the feedback that I get is amazing. And yeah, I hope that you guys have a brilliant week. And if there's anything you want to talk about and have me talk about, or if there's anyone that you would like to see on my podcast, please write it down in the comments, DM me. I will definitely consider. But other than that, I'm going to leave it at that. I hope you have a beautiful week, and I will see you next week on Zero Filter. Bye.